like I've said over and over again, for the next 3-4 years, we've got to do a great job of monitoring our players so that they're healthy when they get to the game.
How do you do that with the 65? Because if you lose 1 or 2, that's the equivalent of maybe losing 3 or 4 somewhere else.
No question. And so what you have to do is every single day, every minute of the day as the head football coach, you have to make sure that you're in tune with the health of your football team. And if you think that you've got a great kid, which most, all these guys are really hard-working kids, and they tell you that they're hurting a little bit, then you taper it down a little bit for that individual kid. And then maybe you do it for the whole team, So, I have a little bit of experience from my NFL experience with that, and maybe it's a night walkthrough instead of having a night practice, things like that. Maybe it's maybe a little bit less 9-on-7, and maybe another 7-on-7, and that's no contact, And you just have to do a great job of because there's nothing more important than the health of your team.
What has Fitz told you about how his Winnings come along?
They're not allowed to report to us exactly on how they are coming along, but the kids stop by the office, and Zach, I've seen him 3 or 4 times over the summertime, and he says, according to him, he's ahead of schedule. So. But he looks to be, that way, and so, we would expect him to be probably a little bit ahead of schedule.
Does that drive you kind of nuts that the coaches can't, or the strength guys can't tell you how somebody's coming along health-wise? I mean, it seems kind of, I won't put words in your mouth, but it seems kind of,
Go ahead.
I'm teeing it up for you.
No, I think one of the things, we've talked about this as a group of Big Ten coaches. I do believe that we should be able to work with our kids a little bit in the summertime. And as it relates to football, you can talk to the kids, but you can't meet with your quarterbacks, you can't meet with your offensive line, defensive, whatever, and you can't get any reports on their conditioning levels, strength gains from your weight staff, because that's just the way it is. So we follow those rules to a T. We try to, and so that's just that. Those are the rules. So that's what we do.
Bill, you raised the possibility in there of Amos maybe even he's big enough now where he could even play linebacker. When did you kind of put that on the drawing board, and how serious is a possibility of that happening?
I think really, Bob, from the time the end of the season till now, we've talked about a lot of different scenarios. He'll be a safety for us, but can he do some things down in the box, even as a safety? Which means maybe you got to play a little bit more post-safety coverage, which is hard in this league with some really good outside receivers. So, and again, it all comes down to the health. Can Obang do that? Can Obang go down and play some will linebacker and things like that? We kind of sit in there and we just talk about different scenarios, and I know John Butler does it a lot more than I do with the defense. I think they've got a lot of different scenarios covered, and so we'll see. We may not have to do that, but if we do, I think we'll train him to do a little bit of this training.
Bill, the way teams are spread it out, does it make it more conducive to playing?
It's a good point. I think that, if you go back to my last year in the NFL, when we self-scouted at New England, I think almost like 70% of the time we were in nickel defense. Because it's a receiver, it's a quarterback league, and it's similar in the Big Ten. You've got great quarterbacks, really good skilled receivers, and so there is a little bit more nickel defense being played where you can have a fifth DB in there. So do we have some guys that can do that? Again, Mike Hull is a very good cover linebacker, and so we would keep him in there. But could we maneuver somebody else in there and substitute for some other linebacker? Who knows? So. We'll cover all those scenarios this summer, though.
Bill, John Urschel is supposed to speak tomorrow on behalf of Big Ten players at the banquet. What are you expecting from John in his address?
I don't know. I flew with him here today. What a great kid. I flew with Malcolm Willis and Glenn Carson. Great kids. I don't know. I know that it'll be a good speech. It'll be well thought out. He was actually, probably memorizing it on the plane today, which is incredible. But it looked like a lot of pages. So I was like, John, you might want to cut that down. But what a fantastic kid. I think a lot has been made about his academic prowess. But I think again we have to be reminded here that he's a hell of a football player. He's a first-team All Big Ten guard, which in this conference that's a big deal. So, and he's got a chance to play pro football. So. That he's just as good a football player as he is a student. He really is.
Bill, you said last week on our call that you would hope that the NCAA would meet you halfway.
Right.
What else do you think Penn State has to do for that to happen?
I don't know, Rich. Again, I said my piece last week. I'm really focused on the team now. I really think those are questions that are more for President Erickson and Dr. Joyner. I know that we're being very compliant. We've had, in the 19 months that I've been there, we've had, I think, 4 meetings with our compliance department, each 3 hours long, to make sure we understand the rules. I know we have a coaching staff of high character guys that do things the right way. Are we perfect? No. Have we sent a text message that wasn't proper? Yeah, and we report it right away. So that's all I know, and now I just really want to focus on the team. You pick yourself up and keep moving forward, and regardless of the record or whatever, that's what that team and those group of leaders taught us. And so, yeah, maybe there's something to be said, but we got to continue to do it. We can't just say, okay, that was great. Now what do? We have to, every day we got to lay another brick on top of the other one and continue to do things the right way, which hopefully we will do.
Bill, your senior class last year was pretty incredible when it came to leadership and off-field. How's this year's senior class compare?
Joe, it's funny. People ask me that a lot, and we did. We had a great senior class that we'll always remember the rest of my coaching career. I'll always remember those guys and be indebted to them. But we have a very, very strong group of leaders on our team. We have guys that have played a lot of football for us, but we also have guys like Ty Howell that maybe hasn't played a lot of football for us, but is a really tough leader. Strong guy in the weight room, and is going to be our starting center. So we have guys like that that we know are going to be good leaders for us. Guys that maybe you don't know too much about, but we do in the building. So we feel good about our leadership this year.